And I mean, don't you want to have fun in a big SUV? It is serious, it means business, and that's why I like it as an SUV.
Bythjul.com. Däck och fälgar online direkt hem till din dörr eller närmaste verkstad.
Still snow on the ground, still a bit cold in the air, and yet another SUV to be tested. And the one that we have here today is the Porsche Cayenne, and it's the range-topping one, the Cayenne Turbo E Hybrid. And when Porsche shocked the world of making an SUV, when they only had coupes and you only thought that 911s was the cars that Porsche should have in their lineup or that would be in their lineup, well, they gave us something that was purely unique. An SUV with super performance that could handle so much in the sports segment that no one thought was possible. And they've lived on that trend. A Porsche is a Porsche, and they always deliver. And this one, they say that this is even more sharp, even more sportier, and of course, it's more powerful. This is the most powerful one. It has a combined power of 739 horsepower and a combined torque figure of 950 Newton meters. So this is mighty strong. And we got the rear wheel steering. You can feel straight away in cars when they have the rear wheel steering. And of course, up to 3 degrees, the opposite direction, up to some certain speeds. But when maneuvering a car, a big car, in tight spaces like this, you get around quick. And we drive in hybrid, so fully electric now. The new battery pack at 25.9 kilowatt hours gives you, of course, better range and a lot more power. You reach about a little over 80 kilometers, and that is well enough for a plug-in hybrid. And the overall combined consumption is 2.1 down to 1.7 liters per 100 kilometers. And that might seem rather good because this is some serious power. I still sit and think about all this power. We're so used to a lot of horsepower in cars nowadays. Of course, in sports cars, it's monumental. Just think back 10, 15 years, and this power was like not unheard of, but you needed to be in the real big top hypercars to get that power. A total of 739 horsepower in this new Cayenne Turbo E Hybrid. That is a lot, and the combined torque, well, that is super strong. 950 Newton meters of torque. So this car, it moves about 2,600 kilos plus. It moves in just another way. And because it is a Porsche, you're always spoiled with knowing that I can take on any other one in this class and I will beat them. This is such a precision tool of sports SUV that you can't believe. For the family, and as you drive on like this in e-hybrid, it's just so comforting, so relaxing, and it's so soft. And that rear wheel steering, once again, you need to get used to it because it steers in so quick. In a Porsche, which has this already magnificent steering feel, it feels like it's almost a bit overkill. It turns in such a quick way that you're almost not prepared for it. And they always take subtle steps forward when redesigning their models. This one, it looks almost the same as the predecessors, especially in profile, but in the front, it is a bit new. If you're a car nerd, well, then you can spot some difference. The hood here is a bit more sharp. It's got some edges here, some lines. Of course, these headlights, they look really good. I like that update because it is very elegant. It just fits the front very, very well. You got the Matrix headlights, those very strong lights. You also get these big inlets here, so you notice that it is a turbo. Flaps that open up in here, that lets in a lot more air when needed. The grille here is a little new as well, and I just think it looks Porsche Cayenne imposing. And they've been selling so good that if you want to go to a new one, well, you don't want it to be, totally reshaped in any way. Porsche customers, they are conservative, and I think that they know what they want. So those small steps forward, considering the design, I think that's smart because they keep the customers that way. 21-inch rims on this one, big wheels. You also get a little spoiler there on the back, and the back of the car, it looks about the same, but this new ramp back there is a bit redesigned as well. So at the moment, this is the sportiest one. We ain't got that Cayenne Turbo GT anymore because of strict regulations. It lets out too much pollution. So that is just set to some different markets, not Sweden anymore. But this one, it's more powerful. But what we're provided in the Cayenne lineup is 5 different models. It's the normal 6-cylinder Cayenne, the Cayenne E-Hybrid, the Cayenne S, the Cayenne SE Hybrid, and then this one as the Crown Jewel. And sure is a crown jewel. It weighs 2,600 kilos plus. It's a heavy car, but what they've done with this car underneath, now that's where the strength is. And the performance, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.7 seconds. It goes on to a top speed of 295 kilometers an hour. 0 to 200 kilometers an hour is that with just a little over 12 seconds. So this is seriously fast. And I mean, sitting high in a car that just launches away like that with the launch control that you get in this Sport Chrono package, it is just a bit crazy. But that's where the Porsche Cayenne should always be, ahead of its competition. And if you want to ask that question, can an SUV really do that much? Can it be that quick on track, on roads? And the short answer is almost always yes, because it always delivers. You can always count on a Porsche when you need to really grip it by the scruff of the neck and then just give it a go. So if you divide the power, this twin turbo V8 at 4 liters provides 599 horsepower, and the updated 25.2 kilowatt hour battery pack in this one provides you with 176 horsepower. So when you just drive in pure electric, it has some go in city traffic and the pace is just all right. And you can reach about 82 kilometers in range, which is rather good. You can drive this purely on electric if you're very thorough of just plugging it in and charging it every time. And this one has the 11 kilowatt on-board charger, so it charges up a little quicker. The VLTP claims that the consumption is 2 to 1.7 liters per 100 kilometers. And the consumption for the battery is 31.7 to 29.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And plug-in hybrids, well, they're not the most efficient on pure electricity when they got 2 drivetrains like that. And when it comes to comfort, well, it's quiet. It's very quiet in here. And the seats, they are almost as good as in the Range Rovers. And that is a big plus. Sporty, but not that sporty. I think it's much more soft in the sides. They don't grip you that much. Keeps you in place, but in a soft way. So keeping performance and a lot of comfort, well, best of both worlds. And what always comes to my mind when stepping into a Porsche is that you get the same experience. They are a bit, German correct and very clean about them. You can feel the quality throughout the car. It is great, and this one feels even better. The stitching, the setting of everything, there's like no squeaks whatsoever, and that makes me think that it lacks a little of that passion that some other cars have. Just drove this Jaguar F-Pace SVR. Some different type of elegance. This has its elegance, but we're so used to it. That is not as common as a Porsche because these are popular models and popular cars. They cost a lot, of course, but you get what you get in terms of quality and expectation of what a Porsche should deliver. In that one, it's a bit different. It felt really good, but it has a different type of flair, and I like that. When it is a little different, but the elegance is still there. Then if the quality is as good, well, who knows? You need to compare that, set them side to side. So that's just a taste of what you like. But of course, you can't dislike anything in here, that's for sure. And now we're driving at a little higher speeds. You're on the motorway, a bit uneven here, a bit of complexities because there's road work here. But this new suspension with double chambers and 2 vents technique in it makes it absorb the surface in a different way because it works a bit more independently. And that should also make it feel a lot sportier and become a lot sportier when pushing it hard. And when you get into hybrid mode, the gear changes, the engine and that electric engine work together in such a nice harmony. You can't even feel them. Put it into sport, and the sport exhaust starts. And you can hold this one if you want to get into manual gear shifting. Let's just see how it feels if we push it a little here. Quick, you're doing, very high speeds in just a couple of seconds. Then you can put it into Sport Plus and it of course gets a lot firmer. You can feel the boost there. It really pushes you back in your seat. But the harmony in here at higher speeds, well, it's quiet and it's so stable. For your wallet, in the long run, just plugging it in, going on pure electric, well, that's a little more cost effective. But if you want it to be a bit more maybe track focused, then you can get it in Coupe GT package. And then it is 10 millimeters lower. It's got a bit different camber setting, a set of sportier wheels, a bit firmed up, and it does 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds instead of 3.7. Not that big of a difference. And it's locked up to 305 kilometers an hour in top speed. So this is a car that you can get the option if you want to be even better than what it already is. I think it's a bit too much maybe, because I don't think that you will be that ambitious of taking this one to the track. But you can set this car on the track because it is extremely playful. And if you're really going to take it to the track, well, you can opt for the ceramic brakes. But what makes this even more comfortable, even more sporty, and a bit more agile is that it's got a new set of dampers. There are 2 dampers. They're dampers with double chambers, 2 vent technique, and they can take rebound and compression a lot better. And as usual, you can get it into off-road setting and it will deliver there as well. So this is really a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of car, but a comfortable one for the family, and that's why they're so popular. Price for this one starts at 1,870,000 Swedish crowns. And if you want to go for the Turbo E Hybrid GT package, well then that starts at 2,210,000 Swedish crowns. Control, 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds. It goes like... some curvier roads. Sport Plus, of course, can be a bit slippery here, so we need to be a bit cautious. Feels almost a bit more agile in its nature than the old GT Turbo. It is crazy power as it works together with this electric engine. I love this combined power that it gets together with an extra boost of that electricity. Like in the C63, I always talk about that. Quick, rapid charge up and down like a Formula 1 technique. But this one, at the same time, man, it uses this power well. It's got so much torque that you can just push it through and short shift a little. And don't upset this big car that much by clinging on to a gear. Even though that's fun, because you have such good control if you want to drift out a bit. Get to some compression stages at the road, it is just sucked to the ground. It's like it's some trickery, because you sit that high and you think that no, we can't take that corner that hard. But when you try it and you go for another round and you try it again, you can just push it harder and harder. So this is a super SUV. They've done it even better. It feels even more compliant in its sporty aura. And man, it pushes on good. Jesus, it's a fast car. And it feels so much more fast, of course. When a good SUV makes you get into this controlled feeling, almost like driving a lower car. Not many SUVs can do that, but Porsche Cayenne, they've always been known for really delivering on that part. And this one does that even better than ever. Almost 740 horsepower. That, of course, makes a statement. 1,800,000 Swedish crowns. Well, it will be 2 million plus for this one with some options and stuff. But what do you get for that money? Because that is a lot of money. Well, you get something that is rather complete. For the family, it's rather efficient. You can drive it, commute it, and have a bit good economy in it. But if you just want to unplug it, put it into Sport Plus, well, then you can beat most cars on the road. But there is still something, when it is a bit bumpy road, you feel that you sit high, even though it's very firm. It's not like being planted in a low sports car, but it does a real good job managing it. It's almost like you can feel that electric power together with all that torque and that V8. And the PTV, the Porsche Torque Vectoring System, helps along. So when drifting and when needing all that power, it gets distributed so well. Drifting in this car is rather easy. And also that control on the limit, you got so much torque that you can balance out that drift easily. And of course you can also set it into off-road. And this is where the Porsche Cayenne revolutionized that SUV sport type of car that could also do some serious off-roading. A real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of thing. Nowadays, many cars can do that, but maybe not in as good combination as the Cayenne does or as the Range Rovers does it. Getting into a Porsche, well, straight away you are at home. Everything is so familiar in here, from the switches to the typing to the layout, and you can feel that they've just been taking careful steps in polishing everything. But sure, new cluster here, which looks really, really futuristic and beautiful. It's carved out, so it's a bit free around here. Nice stitching. It all feels just so solid when you feel it. It is something when you step into one of these cars, because you can just pull, push, and there are no squeaks. Everything is just so solid. I just love that. Roof lining with some Racetex or Alcantara. Big panoramic roof here. Still you get these handles to hold on to when you're going quick. Some new vents here. Looks also very, very solid. Carbon fiber here to really express that you're sitting in something fast, something Porsche-like. And the steering wheel, of course, it can't be any sportier. And the feeling in it, it is just beautiful. I love these steering wheels. They're just perfect in their thickness, and the sporty grip that you get is just immaculate. It is a bit new here, those two screens, one in the center and one for the passenger. So that passenger can sit and watch maybe YouTube or dial in some numbers, see what's on the navigation, or a lot of other things. And it's very easy to navigate through this one. It is quick. It's not sluggish at all. It's very rapid in its feel. The graphics are just superb. Easy to connect your phone, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. And if you want to charge it, well, you got an induction charger underneath here. Still get some of this glossy looking panel, which has been around for a couple of years now in their models. I don't like it that much, as I usually say about that piano polished looking thing. And one other thing in this one, it's flat. So it gets a glare down here. Now, the light of the symbols down here with those physical buttons, although, which are just great. That tactile feel and that click. It's always a bit tempting pushing these. They have such delicate feel. But back to that, it is a bit flat. So all that light from the window comes down here, and it just gets a big glare. So that's a bit of a shame. It should be tilted a little so that light wouldn't hit it in that way. And it has been a bit more cleaned up down here due to that the gear selector sits here. A bit hidden, but when you know that it's there, well, then it's rather convenient to use. You change your gear. If you hold it for a little while when you drive, you get into manual mode. And then you just push P to get into parking. And as usual in Porsches, you start it on the left side, but you don't need to use your key. It's keyless, so it's just a start button there. Paddle feel is, as always, just great, and you can sit low. And when getting to the seats, these seats are so comfortable. You know, I always refer to a good, comfortable seat, maybe one of the best comfortable seats, and that is in the Range Rovers. I really adore their seats. But this one, driving this after a while, it almost feels just as good in a very sporty way. And the bolsters here on the side, very nice. I think you can get some sportier seats if you would like. But these ones, I mean, you're about to cruise in this car. You're about to use it with your family. And I mean, then you want to sit in a comfortable way. And they just provide you with so many settings, so many adjustments. But at the same time, they are so soft, but still has that little edge of sportiness. So just perfect. And in this intuitive system, you can get comfort, you can set your seats, massage, there's a massage in it. You can set the type of warm balance you want, the ventilation balance. You know, there's so many settings in here. So on that tech side, the safety side, and equipment side, well, it's just fully packed. Set your chassis, but of course, everything gets into those different settings when you use this wheel here. You get into off-road, and then you can set it. You can set it for gravel, mud, sand, rock. You can see what type of tilt and what angle and pitch you have. So, you know, driving off-road with this car, and then all of a sudden knowing that, well, I can take it to the track and beat a lot of other cars, sports cars, almost supercars. That is a very mind-boggling feeling. And then you set e-power and you just go on pure electric. When you drive hybrid, well, then you can set some different settings there. You can have e-hold, recharge it, or do whatever to maintain the battery in its best way. And that works just flawless. Then you get into sport. Well, the engine is there all the time. It's always spooled up to give you as much power as you want. It gets lower. And of course in Sport Plus, it gets even firmer and quicker in its throttle response, in its gear changes, and it just becomes a wild animal. I like this new cluster here, very clean. It just fits in this gap of the wheel here. On the 911, I don't like it because some of that cluster is being hidden behind this part of the wheel. Of course, you can cramp it together, but this one, you get the whole cluster in front of you here, and you can set that cluster in many different ways. And just a nice feeling of sitting low, adjusting your splendid steering wheel to any position, just gets you ready for any type of drive. But in this one, you should be driving a bit more sporty. Backseat, of course, is important in a big SUV for the family, and when I'm sitting in my sporty position in the front, look at that, plenty of space. And these seats, they keep you in place because they are a bit carved out, but at the same time also very comfy, as in the front, but not as soft and nice, of course. And a beautiful panel back here where you can set your climate. You also get these nice switches back here, some USB-C ports, charge your phone or whatever. And then you get some sunshades here. That gets closed here, that's really nice. You push that up. Very nice. And it's all integrated into that electric window switch. And you pull the window down. Really nice, really nice. 2 cup holders here. And you sit just good. And you can also adjust it a little here, this backrest. Now, so this is a very good place to sit in. Adults can sit here full long, and kids, of course, they'll be just having a blast back here, I guess, if the driver gets a bit too ambitious. Oh, it's a fun car. It's a fun car. It's worth every penny, I think. They are expensive, but everything is relative in this world, and depending on what you want and what you need. I like plug-in hybrids. SUVs, well, you know, they're fine, they're good, they're comfortable. You sit high and you get this feeling, even though I like big sedans better. But when you know that there's an option like a car like this, well, it becomes very tempting, and that you can just run along on electricity from your work back home and do some distances, and also charge a little bit quicker with that onboard charger, 11 kilowatts. So it is a little faster. To sum this car up, this one makes me feel really, really happy, and it makes me feel sporty, and that's what it does, and that's what comes with the cost and the price of a car like this. It gives you that extra precision. You know, if you want to say something about an SUV, like, yeah, it feels sporty, and don't really know what you're talking about. And many of the SUVs, when you really push them, it's just garbage. But if you ask the same question about this car, can it take on a track, or can it take on that road? Can you really go super sporty? And I mean super sporty. The short answer is yes. As you drive real hard and start to provoke it, of course, all this weight, you can't get away from the fact that it understeers. That's the nature of all the weight that you're carrying. It is serious, it means business, and that's why I like it as an SUV. But I will really need to set it on track to get the full, you know, review out of that sporty character that it has.